Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. This is why we do this. Now you're going to see something that you've never seen before your entire lives. Reverend Dave doing a talk in under 10 minutes.
Sorry.
So I'm just going to share briefly on this topic that came up to me a week ago. And it started out as if at once, and it was kind of a variation on if at first. Because what I was realizing is that sometimes when we start into working with our practical prayers and our changing of direction and our where we want to go with our lives and our desires unfolding, anybody ever get a little impatient? You know? It's like, well, I did the prayer. How come it's not mine now? So there's a couple of little tricks that go along with this. And I say tricks, but actually what I mean is it's that the power of our focused intention and maintaining it. So how many times have you thought, oh, I really want to do this, but I need to do that first, right? We all do this. It happens. We set a clear intention. We have an idea. It may even actually come to the level of a mental equivalent. And what a mental equivalent is a really clear, structured idea of what it is that we would like to receive in our lives. We can have that mental equivalent and yet lose sight in the day-to-day journey of that becoming part of our experience. Anybody ever experienced that? I know I have. I've had a clear idea and then let go of it to allow the evidence of my senses and my life to come into play and derail my intention for my life. Or the other trick is, you ever mention it to a friend? That was the end of that idea. Oh, that'll never happen. Oh, but I really want it. So this idea of if at first or if at once, the manifestation, the appearance of our desire in our lives doesn't happen. It is incumbent upon us to reignite and re-clarify what our intention is. Sometimes it's as simple as writing that intention down when we get it and putting it on the refrigerator, because everybody's going to end up in front of the refrigerator eventually. Or the mirror in the morning, or someplace where you're going to see it on your computer screen. Someplace where you can remind yourself of the clear mental intention of the idea that you want to experience in your life so that you can keep it focused on that. So, the other thing about this is we use prayer to change our thinking. That's what a practical prayer is. It is a logical course of steps in our intelligence, our logic, our reason, to bring about the ideal that there is nothing obstructing our experience of the desire that we want, given that it is life positive, harms no one, and can be believed in our consciousness. Right? Anybody ever get to that point in a practical prayer where you actually believe it and it's here? I have. Come on. I do this for a living. I do this for life, actually. But there come along thoughts that are in denial of that. And this is where wishy-washy results end up from. Because if at first, then obviously this isn't working. I don't believe this whole new thought thing. I don't believe there are spiritual principles guiding life. I don't believe there's a supreme intelligence making roses. Really? I don't believe there's any order in the universe. Really? And so maybe we need to re-clarify that. But one of the things that I have found to be most effective in this journey of creating our lives according to our desires is to have pre-prepared supplanting ideas. Ideas that can chase away the negative thoughts and the illusions of some good not being ours right now. Sometimes we call them affirmations. Sometimes they're just having them in the background. You know? so that we can continue to play that loop in our head that when I'm not worthy, I'm afraid of this, I'm never going to be able to do this, pops into our head, which it does, because that's the nature of human thought, is to have all of this stuff going on at once, and we get to experience it sequentially. But all these things are there in our consciousness and our subconsciousness, and they pop into the mind. And the trick that I've used that I find really effective is to automatically have something that counteracts that. Not to try to sit there and, I'm going to release this negative thought. Has anybody ever really tried to release a negative thought? All you end up doing is thinking about it more. I am not going to think about pink elephants. How many people just pictured pink elephants?
Nice day.
Purple.
You're welcome. Purple, there's a good way. Let's go sideways. But to immediately have something that says, I am worthy, for I am an embodiment of a divine idea of life. Now that's a little wordy because I'm a minister. You know, you can just work with, I am worthy. Goodness is mine now. Love resides in my heart. I am a creative expression of divine intelligence. There I go, getting a little wordy again. But if we have these at our fingertips, when the negative thought starts rolling around in our head, rather than latch onto it with our single point of awareness, right, where we're putting our energy, we can have something ready to supplant it with where we want to put our energy, which takes us in the direction of our desire. And we all have similar desires. They may have particulars that are different, but we want peace and joy and happiness and prosperity and love. It's that simple. An opportunity to create however we create and to be recognized for that creation. These beautiful creations that the Beyond Limits class came up with. You know, this is the divine spirit moving through us, as it should. So if we have that positive affirmation ready, we can counteract, supplant that idea of negativity with one of positivity that allows us to move forward towards our desire. It's also really good to have a clear, stated desire. Because we can say, send me something nice, but you have to be willing to accept whatever niceness comes from the universe, right? But if what you really want when you're saying send me something nice is a better car than the one I'm driving, we might want to have a clear mental idea of which car that is, or how good it is better than the car that you're driving. If you're driving a bus or riding a bus, then you got a lot of leeway. But having that clear mental equivalent allows us to move back to the thought of this is possible in an infinite universe for me to experience this now. And the best way to have this happen is if at once it doesn't manifest in your life, show up as the experience, to persist in removing the negative thinking from our thoughts until that moment in which it is ours. And guess what? When it's ours, we forget that we did all that mental house cleaning to get to the point where it's ours. And when we have it, we don't need to pray for it anymore. We have already accepted it into our experience and allowed it to come forward as our life. It's really simple, and I'm really done. Namaste.